Here is the third and final part of our journey through Terranigma. In the second part we made new friendships and watched the growth of humanity. After our friends helped us with our mission in Dragoon Castle, we are now ready to confront Dr. Beruga and unreveal the secret of the treasure of Stockholm. With Peril and Meilin, we barely managed to escape from the castle. Once again, it was evident in the castle that we cannot progress without our friends. Peril had to distract the guards and Fida rescued us from the dungeon. Now that Wong is dead and no one is buying up all the metal anymore, Will can finally build his airplane. And we can pay a visit to Beruga in Mosque. In Mosque, we don't find Beruga himself, but a city where he is practically worshipped. We learn that Beruga won the Nobel Prize for Biotechnology and was researching immortality. Beruga aims to create a world where the chosen ones, whom everyone here believes themselves to be, no longer fear death. We also learn that he is in a deep sleep in an ultra-cold machine and will soon awaken. Luckily, we are here. We have experience in resurrecting people. So, we head to his laboratory and find Beruga. There's another highly interesting comment from Yomi. He knows the password for Beruga's supercomputer. I will touch on some other points that Yomi has hinted throughout the story, which weren't so relevant until now, but Yomi knowing the password has always made me somewhat suspicious since I was a child. In the laboratory, we learn that 90% of humanity in a previous Earth cycle was wiped out by Asmodeus, a virus. 10% survived thanks to Beruga's vaccine. However, these people later starved to death. So we awaken Beruga in his laboratory. Beruga is the only human we didn't bring back with the humans. Instead, he was never dead. He lived in a previous Earth cycle. Ironically, he still needs us in the end to revive him. Beruga thanks us and wants to show us something. Immortal humans. Zombies. Ark realizes that the zombies seem sad and that the whole world will be overcrowded if no one dies anymore. But Beruga has already taken care of that. The unimportant ones can die. Only the important ones should live. So, if a human breaks the eternal cycle and lives forever, like the zombie, they will have an eternal life of sadness instead of a soul being reborn in another body. Ark tries to confront Beruga, but he has a security system that incapacitates Ark. Beruga says that his liege lord will soon rise from the Underworld. In the next moment, Neotokio is visited by a strange golden cloud that wipes out all residents. Shortly before our death, the Elder from Krista appears to us. He says that we have fulfilled our task and that Beruga will make the world a wonderful place. We can rest now. But Ark wonders what he has fought for. He doesn't want to die without knowing. And yes, there are still some unanswered questions. That's why Lord Kumari calls us and says it's too early for us to leave. This time, however, we didn't really die. We were just seriously injured. Kumari tells us that Beruga has brought the star of darkness and disharmony over humanity. How can it be that the Elder of Krista would then leave the world to him? Well, Kumari tasks us with finding 5 Starstones to summon the Golden Child. We are to find the Starstones and place them at the grave of Time's End. We receive one of them from a man in Australia, another from a penguin in Greenland, And we find a skeleton in the Sahara. However, we notice that this seems to be the stone that Leim took with him after our adventure. This means that humans have plundered the realm of animals, and one of them stole Leims Stone. This is something we see repeatedly in Terranigma. We can help the humanity rise, make great inventions, and achieve more prosperity. But this happens all at the expense of nature. The realm of animals is plundered, and even the king of birds was kidnapped by black marketeers. However, we can rescue him by buying him back. It shows us again that humans have a choice. Animals act purely in the interest of good. Humans can be both good and bad. As we see in the example of Peril, who lives to help the orphans. Indeed, there are humans who initially appear bad, but then become good, like Reut or Mei Lin. And there are humans like the Bloody Mary, King Henry and Beruga, who clearly favor the dark side. We find the penultimate stone in Astarica, a sacred land that oversees the growth of humanity. We drink from a chalice and fall unconscious. When we awaken, we see our friends serving a deity. My assumption is that it is a version from one of the thousands of previous Earth cycles. In this one, El ascended to become a goddess and once destroyed the world. This is further reinforced by Ark noting that she seems to have demonic traits. Additionally, El becomes immortal here, just like Beruga, who also seeks immortality. And in one Earth cycle, he exterminated humanity and life. We find the final stone in Neotokio, the city eradicated by Dr. Beruga. In the sewers, we find a little girl being attacked by a lion. We rush to help her and recognize the lion as our friend, Leim. We manage to calm him down. It seems he was captured from the animal kingdom and brought to Neotokio for human entertainment. After all, the humans except the girl were exterminated. He escaped and noticed the stone the girl was carrying. Though it wasn't his, which was in the desert, the lion probably didn't realize this initially. Now we take the last stone and task the lion with looking after the girl until the rescue team arrives. Unfortunately, we never see Leim again, and it's likely that the humans didn't treat him well. Next we go to Dryvale, the grave of heroes. There we place the 5 Starstones to summon the true hero of light, the Golden Child. The Ark from the world of light, our counterpart, appears. He tells us that Beruga has disturbed the balance of Earth. We are in the 13th hour, a time that cannot and must not exist. The soul of the hero merges with us, and our Ark, the Ark of the dark side, dies. When we wake up again, we are a baby. We have been reborn, and Overworld Elle takes care of us. She found us in the fields of Stockholm and has been looking after us. Elle steps out briefly to get us something to eat, and suddenly Underworld Elle appears. A voice commands her to kill us. This is the reason she was sent here. As we are now a defenseless baby, she takes us to the basement where we once opened the chest. However, Overworld Elle intervenes and realizes she is facing her reflection from the Underworld. Yomi appears and orders Underworld Elle to to get rid of both us and Overworld L. At the moment we hear the voices of all the representatives of all living beings. Kumari representing humans, the Sun Tree War representing plants, Leim representing animals, the King of Kingbirds representing birds. They all implore us, the true hero, to awaken. All living beings are awaiting our awakening. The last soul to be awakened is ours, the soul that awakened the souls of the entire world. Since the soul of the true hero of light has merged with us, one might assume that we now possess both the souls of the Dark Arc and the Light Arc, making us the true hero. Only this way we can truly bring balance to the world. Despite this, Yomi still wants to kill us. That was his true mission. After we awakened Beruga, he was supposed to dispose of us and kill the true hero. This was the will of the Elder of Dark Gaia. But Underworld L steps in and saves us from Yomi. Before we proceed, let's take a moment to look into Yomi's story, the hints we gathered on our journey that foreshadowed his betrayal, if one paid close attention. At the very beginning we open the chest in the basement of Krista and Yomi appears. Even then, it's clear that we are being manipulated. If we don't open the door to the basement, the residents are still frozen and we still have to rescue them. Throughout our journey, Yomi often tells us to keep going. He wants to achieve his goal of freeing Beruga. This can't happen if we start contemplating the world too much. He also gives us little tips that help us carry out our mission. At first, we don't know where he gets all this information. It becomes clear later that he is a direct servant of Dark Gaia, the devil. This explains why he has so much knowledge to help us in our mission to awaken Beruga. The scenes with Overworld L are also interesting. Yomi doesn't want us to get close to her. He almost mocks us for wanting to help her across the ocean. When she disappears by the time we wake up, he simply distracts us by saying we should go ashore. It's clear he doesn't want us to make friends, because being alone leads to darkness, a lesson we learned from the goat in Eklemata. This is also why he can't get rid of us. Overworld L finds us because we remind her of Ark as a baby. Without her, we would have simply died in the field near Stockholm. Underworld L can't kill us and ends up saving us. No wonder Yomi wants to keep us away from L. Both L's are the reason his plan fails. The most intriguing moment was when Yomi directly intervenes and gives us the password for Beruga's computer. Yomi is so close to achieving his goal here that he doesn't want to risk anything going wrong. This is why he takes such direct actions. Next, we once again open the chest in the cellar. This time, however, in the overworld, in Stockholm, the chest of the light world. And inside is also the light world Yomi. The chest, like everything in Krista, was a copy of the light world. This chest is a treasure, around which everything revolved since we entered Loa, the equipment of the true hero. This was the chest El's parents died for, where King Henry and Wong was searching for. So let's go back here once again and piece together everything that was done and who was finding this chest. So what we can assume is Bloody Mary learns from Dark Gaia that the hero's equipment is located on a distant continent. Her intention is to send her 3 beloved sons, whom she blindly trusts, to retrieve it as ordered by Dark Gaia. However, they need a navigator. So Columbus is commissioned by the Spanish crown to assemble a crew with the Queen's sons on the search for the equipment. Among the unknown sailors, Luis, Columbus' trusted first mate, also joins the expedition. Columbus finds the treasure and learns of its significance. The 3 princes want to bring it to their mother, the Queen, and thus to Dark Gaia. Either Columbus with his crew, who trusts him more than the princess, gets rid of the three, or the three wanted to return to Spain without Columbus, because he wishes to hide the treasure instead of delivering it to the queen. Whatever happens results in the death of the three princes after Columbus and they parted. Columbus hides the hero's treasure in Stockholm, a place only accessible with a protector bell. He then gives the bell to Louis, who already said he received it from a man in Spain, presumably Columbus. Columbus suspects that he will be hunted down, facing death or imprisonment. Without the protector bell, he can't give the treasure to the queen, even if he wanted to. Louis then, for some reason, gives the bell to the King of Loire, who also serves Dark Gaia. Columbus even mentioned that people like King Henry and the Queen, those in power, were all the same. There's a point of connection between them. Additionally, even the password in Berugas Lab, Bloody Mary, shows a connection between those two. I just want to clarify the connection between Bloody Mary, Beruga and King Henry, because it's never explicitly mentioned that she's part of the plot, but there are many indications that suggest it. I don't want to delve too deeply into the gameplay aspects of the game, and I've avoided doing so thus far, but here I believe it's warranted. Anyone who has played Terranigma knows that Bloody Mary is far too strong in the game. This should even be noticeable during the game's programming, especially since all other enemies become much weaker after defeating her and leveling up. The only reason such a decision might be understandable is that Bloody Mary is simply the most powerful being on Earth. She is the only one of Dark Gaia's subordinates who has become a monster, a kind of queen of the Underworld. Back to the story of the hero's equipment. Dark Gaia then orders King Henry with the protector bell to find Stockholm and the hero's treasure. The king ordered the massacre of the villagers to uncover the treasure's location. Since no one reveals the secret, he keeps a little girl, Elle, believing she might reveal it later. As Krista is a direct mirror of Stockholm and its inhabitants, and Elle was a child at the time of her abduction, we can assume the king unknowingly killed or had killed the Lightworld's hero as a child. Exactly that's why Fida had the feeling she had met us before. This explains why the hero couldn't follow the eternal cycle of defeating monsters, dying and restarting the cycle. We have taken care of the monster killing, but we didn't die, leading to the unnatural creation of the 13th hour. Sometime later, the king attempts to break Elle's silence, and from here, the rest is history. Back in Stockholm, outside, a bird sits with a letter from Mayho. We learn that Neotokio was destroyed by the Asmodeus virus, the same virus that nearly wiped out humanity in a previous cycle. So it is very likely that Beruga himself developed the virus and had a vaccine that only the chosen ones, those who in his eyes serve him, received. We learn that under Lord Kumari, some people have come together to stop Beruga. Fida, the swordsman, Reut, the former mercenary, and Peril, the skateboard wizard. Even Peril is here to save the day one more time. And even Meilin is there to save the world. All friends we meet on our journey and who we helped, and who were always a help to us. Meilin is also a prime example. She receives the power of the Underworld from Dark Gaia, and it seemed that Dark Gaia can manipulate her very easy. This was achieved through Wong, who also served Dark Gaia. However, because there were people who helped and supported her, she was not ultimately seduced by evil. All our friends await us in Beruga's second tower in East Siberia. Here, of course, we need the help of all our friends to progress. Meilin creates illusions. Peril distracts the attention of the lasers with a skateboarding show. Mayho has already identified these lasers through his ability to see in the future. Feeder and Royd, among other things, accompany us aboard the airship to stop Beruga once and for all. We place time bombs throughout the airship to ensure that Beruga cannot escape. In the end, we face off against Beruga, the direct servant of Dark Gaia, the Elder of Crista. Beruga laughs at our foolishness, as he has rocket shoes to flee. However, he is then torn to pieces by a propeller of his own airship. Now the three of us stand on the doomed airship. But one seagull appears. Yes, just one seagull. Feeder and Royd insist that Ark uses it to escape. For them, it makes sense. Both have achieved their goals with Beruga's demise. Royd sought revenge for his friends and sought out the mastermind behind their murder. King Henry was killed by El. Wong was killed by Royd himself. We defeated the Bloody Mary, and Beruga died from his own invention. Feeder's task was to protect El, and to do that, she had to get rid of exactly the same people as Royd. Even though they didn't have the same approach from the beginning, they had the same goals. So we escaped with the seagull, and two of our friends crash with Beruga's airship. Now, all that remains is to defeat Dark Gaia, the Elder of Crista. He is of course in the Underworld, as he is its lord. Presumably, he cannot leave it, so he always sends others to carry out his tasks. We go to the portal through which we entered the upper world. And there stands Columbus. He tells me that he now knows that we are the true hero. Remember? The hero he wanted to reveal the secret of the treasure of Stockholm to. Now it's too late, as we figured it all out without him. If only he had noticed earlier. So we jump into the hole and find ourselves back in the Underworld. In the Underworld, we encounter the Elder, who praises us for our work, but also says that we have learned too much. He tells us how beautiful crystal blue is, and that we, the hero, and all humans are made of the same materials. This implies that we were created from crystal, and when we are consumed, we float around, creating the crystal blue. So essentially, all the deceased inhabitants of the Underworld become the beautiful crystal blue. He tells us that our task is now complete, and the will of darkness is our end. We follow Dark Gaia to the Gaia Stone, inside the sun of the Underworld. As we approach him, Dark Gaia tells us that light and shadow will soon merge. Without light, there is no shadow, and without shadow, there is no light. However, it has always been the case that Dark Gaia remained in the Underworld and should never merge with the upper world. The balance is maintained by humans, the species that conquered the upper world. They can decide for themselves whether they are good or evil. Thus, the world remains in balance without divine intervention, from above or below. Ark, the true hero, a fusion of the Light World Ark and the Underworld Ark, defeats Dark Gaia, and we return to Crista once more. In Crista, Ark says that a home, no matter how beautiful it may be, is meaningless without people to share it with. It's as if you have no home at all. Once again, Ark wonders what he fought for. He only executed Dark Gaia's plan, and feels that he has brought harm to the planet. Even though Dark Gaia is dead, he has done exactly what Dark Gaia wanted. Yomi, the good Yomi, appears. He tells us that we are the one called God, who created heaven and earth. Yomi points out that in a world with living beings, there are always good and evil, and Ark wonders what Yomi actually is. He has traveled the whole world, and there was nothing like Yomi. Yomi says that everything had an initial form, and before evolution, that is what he is. For the first time in the game, Light Gaia speaks to us. She is the soul of the upper world. Thus, Dark Gaia is the soul of the underworld. which has now been defeated. And without a soul, something cannot exist. So the Underworld and Quista disappear, and our body will disappear too. We can spend one more day in Quista, but the Underworld and thus Quista is already beginning to disappear. The pond that was supposed to show the future shows nothing at all, not even our own reflection. We lie down to sleep one last time. Elle appears to us and tells us that while Quista will disappear, if fate wills it, we will meet again. However, we will be reborn. We fall into a deep sleep and our soul leaves the true hero. We are reborn. As a free bird and fly over the world, we have awakened. One last time, we fly to Stockholm. Here, everyone can imagine their own ending. It's possible we bid farewell to Overworld L and embark on the search for Underworld L in the reborn form, which I presume, as we are a bird, L may also be. Or we did choose Overworld L and decided to stay with her. That was my summary and interpretation of the story of Terranigma. I hope it entertained some people or provided new insights to those who already enjoyed this game. To those who made it this far, I want to express my thanks. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was truly a passion project for me, and despite the countless hours it consumed, I enjoyed every bit of it. I did play through the game 2 times for this video. I watched countless videos, I did read countless interpretations, and of course, interpretations of stories with ambiguous elements always leave room for different perspectives or alternative interpretations. I would love to read some of those in the comments. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you didn't enjoy it, feel free to leave a dislike. This will help me to see if I go to another mammoth project like this in the future, as I have a couple of other games in mind, maybe 2 or 3, I could explore in a similar way. Until then, take something from the game, cherish your environment and your friends, be kind to one another and enjoy each day. Your Freizeit. Bye.